Looking to fast forward your practice goals? Commonwealth Financial Network can help you evolve your business by providing entrepreneurial capital, affiliation flexibility, and tailored business strategies. Everything you need to put your practice into the fast lane. Welcome to a better path to success. Welcome to Commonwealth. To learn more, visit commonwealth.com. Commonwealth Financial Network is a member of FINRA, SIPC, a registered investment advisor. Hi, I'm Suzanne Siracuse. Welcome to my new podcast, Focused on the Future, Keys to Building a Profitable, Sustainable, and Impactful Business. And I am excited to be partnering with wealthmanagement.com on this. This series will focus on what firms need to embrace to ensure their growth and success for the future. And you'll hear from industry leaders and advisors on what is working for them. The content is directed at firms that are already successful and looking to stay that way, and also for those who are focused on taking their firms to that next level. I have a great lineup of guests in store, and today I'm kicking it off with Hannah Moore. Hannah is the owner and principal advisor at Guiding Wealth, founder of Amplified Planning, and creator of the Externship. Welcome, Hannah. So great to have you on. And you are guest number one, so no pressure.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Suzanne. And it is such an honor to be here with you today.
Well, I am very excited to speak to you. And you are one busy woman and really making a significant impact for your clients and our profession as a whole. So I'd love to set the stage by understanding how you actually got into the financial planning profession in the first place. What made you decide to choose this as a career?
I had no idea this field even existed, like so many people who come into financial planning. I was thinking about this recently, and I realized that, growing up in South Dakota where I grew up, I didn't know anybody who needed a college degree to do their job except for teachers. And so I went to school because I was just kind of good at school, good at math, good at numbers, always had an interest in personal finance, would listen to the people on the radio, all of that stuff. And I went to school, and all I wanted to do was help people. That was really kind of the core of what I wanted to do. And so I worked at a nonprofit, kind of really ran up the ranks in a very short time there, to where I was the right hand woman for the finance director. I was writing their grants, doing their payroll, just in all of that. So I'd really build my resume up for that, but realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. So just as it works, I walked into my apartment one day and said, I can't do this the rest of my life, which is very counter. If you know me, it's very not how I operate. The next day, I had an intro to personal finance class. And the professor called me up after class and said, Hannah, you need to consider changing your major. You're just really, how I describe it's just how my brain works, is financial planning. And he's like, I've never had a student consistently score this high in my class. Like, you need to consider changing your major. I had no idea. What I was getting into. And so I just said, okay. And literally the next day was the day I had to sign up for my last semester of classes. So if I hadn't made that decision the day before, I wouldn't even be here, which is just a really cool kind of serendipitous how things just kind of evolve through that. And so I ended up getting an internship here at a financial planning firm. And it's a very interesting, kind of culture shock. I got to sit in on 2 client meetings. And the first client meeting I got to sit on, their eating out budget was more than I made my first year from a professional salary standpoint. And so, coming from South Dakota where, my dad worked at Walmart, my mom stayed at home with 5 kids, it's just a very different world. But what was so cool about that, and what's really kind of driven me in my career, is that, while the numbers were very different, what I heard from them was the same. And so that's what's really just intrigued me as I worked with clients from all different income levels, all different situations. It's this idea of like how we relate with our money is just fascinating to me, and something that just keeps me going today.
It's so many things like that by chance that people get into this profession, right? What made you decide to sign up for the personal finance class?
I just loved this. I mean, I remember listening to, was it Dave Ramsey on the radio. There was a Money Matters guy. I used to like, when I had my car, I would like just drive around just so I could listen to the radio. And so it was an intro to personal finance class, and they have the one for non-majors. And so I did it for the majors because I was in the business school. And I mean, that's what I do. And it was really fun. The professor, I was kind of going the nonprofit management route. So that was my degree. And he gets up there the first day and he was like, Miss Westby, because, my maiden name, he's like, are you sure you're in the right class? And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, yes, I'm in the right class. Like, I know that, I'm going on this nonprofit route, but yes, I'm in the right place. And so that was, just kind of just an innate interest in this space, and just realizing like it was an elective class for me. Like, I didn't think it was going to be count towards my major, anything like that. It was just, hey, this looks interesting, and jumped in that way.
And then I love that. And Dave Ramsey, I mean, that's just such a name from the past and just so still
Yeah.
relevant. I'm glad that you are tuning in, because the stuff that you've been doing and the value you've brought to this profession in a relatively short period of time is really extraordinary. How
Thank
did
you.
you how did you get that internship?
Yeah, so I did it through my local FPA career fair. So that's one of the big planning shops here in Dallas, and then a professor connected me with the lady I ended up working for several years. I was 22, she was 68. 4 years later, I ended up buying her practice and bought another small practice after that.
Oh my God.
So I was really, I think one of the things that's interesting is I didn't have a playbook. I never saw what a career path was like because, again, nobody from my past had any ideas. And so when I was thrown in these situations, in my interview with her, she said, like, I'm going to need a succession plan. Are you interested in that? I had no idea what a succession plan was. Like, literally, like, I'm like writing it down and like going out, it was before smartphones, and being like, okay, I need to Google this when I get home because I don't know what a succession plan is. But my answer was yes. Like, of course, I'm going to be interested in that. And so it's been this interesting, like, I didn't have a framework for how a career should progress because I never saw that, growing up, and which I think is, in some ways been helpful. Otherwise it's been, difficult, but it's just an interesting kind of dynamic in my story.
Yeah, my goodness, that is so interesting. And how, again, serendipitous that you
Yeah.
connected with this woman, you ended up acquiring her practice, all kinds of interesting details into your story,
Yeah.
Hannah. So so glad that you followed your heart and followed your head too. I mean, it sounds like
Yeah.
this is like a perfect profession for you. So this podcast is really all about the future
Yeah.
and what firms and individuals need to do to be successful, not just now, but in the future. As a millennial woman firm owner, what are the key areas that you are focused on at your firm to serve current and future clients?
There's a couple pieces when I think about this. I think about, myself, right? I think about my employees now. I want to make sure that, like, I don't want to just go work for 40 years and then retire and sail off into the sunset. I want my life to have meaning now. I want there to be an innate joy that's coming in through my life. I want that to be with my employees too. I want the work that we do to matter for us as people. Like, I want my life, my role, I have three small children at home. I'm married. There's so many different aspects of who I am. And I want my work to help fuel those other parts of it. I don't want my work to be something that just drains me so that my family is getting the leftover parts of me. I want my work to be something that inspires the rest of my life, that I go home energized. And that's what I want for my employees too. So when I think about the future, I'm focusing on kind of the firm side. There's going to have to be a reimagining of how we're engaging with our people. How are we helping them build a life that they want to live? My paraplanner works with me, and she is brilliant. She's probably been the most impactful person to help change kind of how I work. And she was working, she stayed at home with her kids for 5 years, and she works part-time, and she works in the evening, and she works in all these other ways that it fits her life. And everything is happening. Like, it's truly, she's my biggest impact player to date,
Wow.
with kind of all the things that I've done. But this work is fitting her life. We're recognizing what's unique about her and like what's really great about her, what energizes her, and then building an experience around that for her as well. Because in the firm of the future, your people are what matter. And building, thinking of like, how do we, adapt? How do we help make this a great experience for our employees? I think that's going to become more and more important, that culture that we're building from a firm standpoint. The same is true with our clients.
Yep.
It's our clients are, they're not coming to us of just, I just need you to manage my investments. Like, I just need you to take this off. They're really coming to like, they're first of all an experience, but really coming, there's so much more that they want to know. It's keeping their investments, like that might keep them up at night, but I promise you there's a million more things that are keeping them up at night. And that's really kind of this power of planning that we can do. And, by doing that, by really investing in your clients and really having the conversation as deeper, there was a recent study that came out. I think it said a third of the large RAs are actually incorporating planning into like the regular like client cadence. The more you do that, your clients are going to be stickier. You're going to give meaning to your employees for the work that they're doing. I often say, helping somebody make more money, like helping an owner make more money at my detriment, like doesn't inspire me. Like that's not going to be exciting for the next generation of planners.
Yeah, and I love what you said. I love the term, the power of planning. And it's actually shocking to me that not every planner out there is incorporating planning, right? And how important that is, and all these different aspects that clients are looking for. So you basically are saying you better tailor your offerings to the client of the future, and they're going to want a lot more services than just investment management. And then for your employees, I love the fact that your power planner is your, the person that made the most difference in your life. And I want to ask a question about that. So how did you find her?
Yeah. So we had an employee leave. I had just had a baby. And so I'm sitting in my conference room holding my like newborn and just being like, oh my gosh. I was like, I just want a mom who gets it. Like that was what I wanted. And so we went to hiremymom.com. We went there to hiremymom.com. We really split the role. We had a, kind of traditional junior planner role. We split that into two roles because just kind of what I was uniquely facing with all the stuff we're doing, Amplify planning, the externship, my practice. We had just an executive assistant part-time, which we found on Hire My Mom as well. And then that's where we also found my pair planner as well. Of just really, again, just saying like, how can we best design this? There's a lot of playbooks of how you hire, and there's a lot of wisdom in that in financial planning. But I also think that there's a place of saying, hey, what do I need? And how can I fill in these gaps? And then bringing people in to help you in maybe non-traditional ways.
I didn't even know that website existed. So it's hiremymom.com.
Yeah, hiremymom.com. And so it's all moms looking to get into the workforce, moms looking to kind of enhance what they're doing. And it's pretty incredible. My executive assistant, she's amazing. She has her MBA, she has her CPA, she's getting to school for a PhD. She works a full-time job and they have a lot of flexibility. And so she was working, at another role that she was having to drive for and do all this. So she was working another part-time job on top of that. And now she gets to do this and incorporate these jobs just into her life. It's pretty incredible. Like think about getting that level of talent as a, like there's just so many creative ways when we think about our human capital in our firms today.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And, you mentioned something about like what your motivation was to become a planner, is that you wanted to help people. That was something that was just inbred in who you are and what you wanted to do. And recent research, actually, I think it was from the Externship, which we'll get to in a minute, talks about that's the number one reason that people are looking to join the profession. So very different than maybe 15, 20, 25 years ago about why somebody came into this profession. So if you're a firm that is hiring and growing your business, you almost have to realize that the old way of thinking of like, okay, it's all about the money and the investments and things like that, that it's really about creating an experience at your firm that is flexible for those that are looking to come on board, and also provides lots of different services, not just investment management, and that you really need to go back to that core of like, they're looking to help people. Again, that goes to providing many more services other than just investment management.
and really diving into the why. I talk to so many firm owners who are struggling and they've lost the spark of why they love financial planning. And I think about that, and it's like really refocusing on what is it that we do. I go to conferences like so many people do, and I sit in there in these sessions and I listen to it, and it's leading with why do I do this? It's so that I can work fewer hours, make more money. And like, okay, that's inherently good. I think we can say that. Like, that's generally good. That's not going to inspire the next generation of talent that's coming in there. Why do they want to work for you? They want to work for you so you can get a better life. Like, no. But they do want to work with you to change other people's lives. They really want this the impact is so important. Part of the externship, which I know we're going to go into, is we have a lot of career changers in this program, and they are successful in their careers. They're often making multiple six figures, coming into financial planning, taking a huge pay cut to come into this. They want to have an impact. They've run the rat race. They've done that. They've put in the 60-hour weeks, 80-hour weeks. That's what they're getting away from. They want to go into a career that has meaning, and we can uniquely provide meaning in this field because of the impact that we have with our clients. And that's a selling point that's going to attract you the best talent. We've surveyed them. They will take a pay cut to come work for you if you can build in kind of just this purpose, this sense of belonging, this like, hey, we're here for something bigger than ourselves. We're here to make an impact in our clients' lives. And helping somebody, that's just such an underlining theme of what we see over and over again.
Yeah, that's great insight, and so important to those firms that are hiring. And again, just hearing harder and harder to find talent.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on something that you said about, providing additional services and how do you scale some of that? Do you use various technology tools to help scale to provide some of those additional services that clients are demanding right now?
Yeah. So I think it's a fascinating time right now. And I think even in the next few years, we're going to see this kind of evolve even more dramatically. So I think it's a couple things. So one is, yes, technology. I think technology is going to be a huge piece. It's going to build in so many efficiencies. It already has done that. And it's just going to continue even more. We're seeing like OpenAI, kind of the things that are coming into play on that. I'm fascinated with the kind of how our tech firms are going to be using that to evolve this client experience and to enhance it. One of the other things that I don't think we talk enough about is it's also going to be around developing talent. We look at our talent. Oftentimes I see firms looking at talent as their task managers, or not just task managers, they just complete tasks. And by shifting the mindset of like, how can we develop our talent to where they can be more effective in those client meetings? How do we develop our talent so where they're not just here to check off tasks and get that business efficiency done, but really using them as kind of your eyes and ears and helping build in that efficiency. I think there's a big piece of that talent development that we're not focusing on that I think will be part of the future. Firms that really excel in the future, they're going to focus on how do we develop our talent faster? How do we develop more effectively? Because that'll make a huge difference for your firm.
Yeah, great. I couldn't agree more. So shifting gears, not too long ago, you received the Heart of Financial Planning Award presented to you by the FPA. And that was due in part to the amount of impact you are making on the planning profession. And one of the many ways in which you are making that impact is through this program that we've alluded to a couple times now called the Externship, which is getting a lot of buzz lately. And it's described as the only online training program dedicated to a career in financial planning. It was originally created for students who had lost their internships, in-person internships, due to COVID. So tell us about this program and why you took it upon yourself to address this need.
It was 2020 and, we were consulting with National FPA at the time, and we were just looking around and saying, how can we just help people, right? How can we just fill in a need? And we started seeing students, like you said, losing their internships. We did some focus groups with them and realized that, we could never replace a one-on-one, but basically everything else they were looking for, we could do better in at scale. And so we just sat down and just reimagined this whole experience. And so we did this. And what was so surprising to me is, we thought we were solving for one problem, but we realized it was solving for a whole nother problem. So that registration was open it was maybe 3 weeks. And a tremendous number of people signed up for it. It was a free program, so anybody could put their email in. So we had over 1,900 people do that. About 1,100 were actually engaged in the program, which is just really, really neat to kind of see that. And what we learned in that experience was we started seeing, and I think I knew this, but I really started to see it, was the barriers that we throw up for coming into financial planning. And we don't even realize that we're putting them up. Like, I didn't even realize this, but you started thinking about it. And I was like, we're asking people to give up tens of thousands of dollars often in education expenses, years of their life, before they even get a glimpse into what financial planning is. We're asking career changers to truly quit their job and take a huge pay cut or go to zero and to start and to, like, before they even really have a good scope of what financial planning is. They're going to school on this idea, like they have a vision of what can happen, but there's still this massive gap that's out there. And so what we realized is what we're really doing is showing people what a career in financial planning can look like at a very early point in their journey to becoming a financial planner. And it helps give them clarity. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times we've heard people say, I'm going to get my CFP. I know this is a direction I want to go. I now know that, like, this is the area of financial planning I want to go into instead of this, which is what I thought was the only option available. We just get the testimonials like that over and over and over again. And so really what we've done with the externship is we've decreased the barriers of entry into financial planning and are helping people make better decisions on where they want to land in their career, which is it's just really empowering. And it's just it's such a dynamic and diverse group.
And what a
yeah,
time savings for
yes,
firms and those individuals, right? So, like, how many times have you hired someone, for those that are listening, and the person's like, wait, I don't really even want to do this, right?
yep,
This almost like pre-qualifies
yep,
those that are super interested in the profession, gives them a look under the hood, a day in the life of an advisor, before they, many times before they're even before they even become an advisor.
yeah,
That's fascinating. How has this program evolved now that the
yeah.
in-person internships are back in? How has this program evolved? Does it work in partnership with in-person, or how are you
Yep.
seeing that evolve?
Absolutely. So we've seen, obviously you talked about kind of the entryway, that welcome mat into financial planning. But it is such a dynamic program. I've often said, I'm, 12, 13 years into my career, and I would do it every year because I learned so much. And we're having firms take notice of that too. And so firms have started, number one, sending their existing employees through the program, seeing how other people are doing financial planning. You're really going to get a pulse on, like, what does the future of planning look like? What are kind of the different ways of doing this? Oftentimes firms, we get tunnel vision. I know I do. You get tunnel vision on kind of who you're serving, what you're doing. The externship is going to open that up for you. So we're seeing that, we started this as an internship replacement program. And what we've realized is that it's really an internship supplement program,
Yeah.
where you can run this as a baseline to your internship program. My firm, so I'm just, a small shop here in the Dallas area. We would have never, I would have shied away from ever hiring an intern. We're having an intern ourselves this summer because that I can put this externship as a baseline for it. So I'm not having to, because we all know hiring a new employee is a huge lift. And it's so much time and energy kind of goes into that. But now I can hire an intern because she's going to be going through this externship program, and I can really customize her experience on the 20 hours that she's going to be, like, working in my firm. I have the capacity to do that. And so we're pulling in best practices from other fields. Really, there's a whole body of knowledge around how to make a great internship experience, right? And we're pulling that in to really give firms a step-by-step guide on how do you maximize this internship experience for your people, from the intern's perspective, from the firm's perspective, and really giving you the tools of, like, hey, here's the conversations that you need to be having in this week. These are the conversations you need, mapping that out, helping share, like, hey, here's what's going on in the externship, they're getting this survey of what this looks like. Here's how you can supplement that with your firm, and giving them the resources, to help with that, and really helping them define why they're doing an intern, and then setting goals based on that. I was talking to a firm just this week where they really use their internship to qualify future hires. They're just like, we want the best of the best. And so we were talking through that, and they're like, yeah, last summer, we had, just a handful of interns, and we offered this job. And it's like, well, yeah, you're looking for different things if that's your goal. And so we really have a guide to kind of walk through all of those pieces to really give it a great experience. The last thing I'll say on this is,
I was going to say, like, what a huge resource this is
yeah,
for both the students and the career changers, but also for the firms. To really, like, I know it's usually not anybody's full-time job to manage an internship program. So to be able to have something like this kind of already created, a little bit of a plug and play is got to be a huge resource.
And, one of the things we talked earlier about the importance of this why, of really giving like meaning to your employees. One of the other interesting pieces is we were kind of building this out and doing some research. One of the other advantages to firms running an internship is that the people who are mentoring your interns, you have higher retention. And it makes sense when we think about this in terms of context of why, like, of how do we provide meaning to our people, to our employees. And this is a great way, it's learn, do, teach.
Yeah.
You're really helping that teaching side. You're developing your already hired talent, and which I think is an often overlooked piece, but it's really important in this like employee development, this how are we training and developing our people side of things as well.
Absolutely. So speaking of, I often hear many firms say that they have a hard time finding and recruiting diverse talent to their firms, right? And this is a big topic in our industry right now. But the demographics of the externs is really fascinating.
Yeah.
Over 40% identifying as female, 10% as Black or African American, 10% Asian, 10% Latino. Why do you think this program is successful in attracting diverse groups? What's the game-changing moment?
I mean, I think we've reduced the barriers of entry to this field. So, we were in the externship first. We had no idea that this was going to be like that we were going to attract such a diverse group. Like, we just basically met a need, and then we got to see kind of what happened from that. So I think number one, we're decreasing the barriers to entry. Two, we're showing how people can go and serve their communities. We make sure that we have a diverse lineup. We have, the traditional firms that you would expect in the externship, talking about, how do they serve their clients with $1 or $5 million minimums. Every week, though, we're also showing how somebody can provide financial planning for somebody who's at zero, or maybe even struggling with credit card debt, of showing how financial planning impacts them. And so, because it's not enough, it's not enough to just say, you have to connect financial planning and the power of financial planning with where somebody is today. They have to be able to see it in their own lives. If they can see the impact financial planning has in their own lives, it connects with them, it resonates with them, it gives them that deep sense of why, because they can experience that themselves. You're asking, people are like, why do we have such turnover in some of these firms? And I've talked to the people who've left these firms. It's like, I'm helping somebody with $10 million make $11 million. They're like, I can't relate to that. That's not relatable to me. And so, one of the things we focus on the externship is helping show how financial planning can be for a lot of different ways of serving clients. This group is so dynamic and interesting and passionate. And it's just so exciting to see kind of what they're going to be doing, because there's truly tens of millions of people who need financial planning advice in this country. And I have no doubt there are externs who are going to be leading the charge on helping getting them financial planning advice.
Yeah, I love that. When I talk to Black advisors, Latin advisors, a lot of what they want to do is go back to their communities they came from and really educate them on the power of planning. I'll use your term. So Hannah, my God, what a special individual you are. We're so glad, we're so lucky to have you as part of the planning profession. So as my last question, I like to call it last line. With the title and theme of the podcast focused on the future, keys to building a sustainable, profitable, and impactful business in mind, what is your last line? What do you think is a critical takeaway for our audience?
remember the why. Keep going back to the why over and over and over again. The power of what we do, the power of financial planning in lives, like it changes lives. It like truly changes generations of families. Like when you really think about that and you really internalize that, that changes everything. It's less about the money. It's about the impact that you can have. And that just spreads. That'll make your employees stay. It'll inspire your clients. It'll just everything evolves from that. And focusing on that why, it also just brings this joy, this spaciousness to this career that you can have in this space where it doesn't feel like work. It's such a privilege to be able to come and do this. But really, it's because I remember why this all matters in the first place.
Oh, what a great last line. What a great way to end podcast one. And that was so inspiring. And I think that you'll really touch a lot of people with your ask about the why. So thank you so much for your insights and for what you are doing to make the financial planning profession a better place to work and by bringing awareness of it to so many. I'm Suzanne Siracuse. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week when I sit down with the Colony Group's chairman and CEO, Michael Nathanson. Thanks again. Looking to fast forward your practice goals? Commonwealth Financial Network can help you evolve your business by providing entrepreneurial capital, affiliation flexibility, and tailored business strategies. Everything you need to put your practice into the fast lane. Welcome to a better path to success. Welcome to Commonwealth. To learn more, visit commonwealth.com. Commonwealth Financial Network is a member of FINRA, SIPC, a registered investment advisor.